Welcome to part 3 of our Introduction to Qualtrics series. In this video, we'll be covering how to distribute surveys, survey options and customizations, and how to download the raw survey responses. So we're going to go ahead and open Qualtrics again. If we go back to our survey, you can see that there's a distribution tab at the top. Go ahead and hit that. And you'll see that you have a bunch of options for how to distribute your survey. If you just want a link, you can hit web to get an anonymous link. Select that. And here's the anonymous link that you can send and copy and paste into emails or on a website or anything. It is not able to track respondents. However, it would collect geographical information and IP addresses. So if you want it to be completely anonymous, you would go over to your survey and hit survey options, which on the left-hand side is the last button at the bottom. So under survey options, you can go to security. And there's a bunch of options on here, but if you scroll down, you'll see this anonymized response options. Just make sure that this is selected so that when you use the anonymous link, it will not collect or record any IP addresses, geographical location data, or any contact info whatsoever. So we do already have this turned on. So just make sure it stays that way. So I'm going to keep it selected as on. There's also other options for you can prevent multiple submissions. So this will make it so that I'm going to turn it on. It will use cookies to make sure that people aren't taking the surveys like multiple times. You can also select how much access you want people to have, if it wants to be available to anyone, invitation only, if you want a password protect the survey. All of those options are in the survey security options. There's also other options you can look at under responses if you want like custom survey completion responses or survey availability to select a specific start date and expiration date for your survey. That's also possible under here. Also, if you want to go to distributions, back to the distributions tab right here, at the top, there should be a button called Pause Response Collection. If you hit that, you can always pause response collection here. And then when you're ready to resume response collection, you would just hit it again. Now it says resume. And there you go. So that's a few different options on controlling your responses, selecting dates, or you can do it manually by pausing the response collection on this option here. So back at our distributions tab, other than anonymous link, you also have the option to send by email. You can compose an email here and then select contacts. You can make a new contact list or add one from your library if you've used one previously for a different survey and you want to send this one to the same people. You just write their email, first and last name, anything like that. I'm going to hit cancel. And then you can select when to send it, from where, and then the subject, you can type it in or select things that have already been used. Message, you can preload one from a library that you've already written, or look at the Qualtrics library, or type out your own. In this box here. And again, you can either send it now or send in an hour or select when you would like to send it. You can send a preview email. There's also more advanced options. You can send it to expire in a certain amount of time or allow people to take it multiple times, make sure it's anonymous, et cetera, et cetera. The links can also be individual, so you can track who did answer your survey. I'm going to hit hide advanced options there. So those are just some different options for emailing the survey. There's personalized links that you can generate for specific people. That's another way to do it here. Under the social media distribution button, there's different options for different social media websites from Pinterest, LinkedIn, um, Twitter, Facebook, uh, and others. If you just click on it, it'll do a pop-up and you can type, log into your account and type in a post from here. You can do the same thing with LinkedIn, Pinterest, and all the other apps as well. You can also have the option of doing a QR code. And you can download it here to paste it or copy it into like flyers, anything like that. It can't track identifying information at all, but it'll allow anyone to scan the QR code to bring up your survey. So if you're going to be handing out flyers to try and get people to take the survey, this is a great option. And then those are the main options for distribution. Most people will use the anonymous link to post into different websites and stuff. Again, that's here. You can customize the link at this option if you would like. Okay, next I'm going to show you how to customize like the look of your survey. If we go back to our survey tab here at the right, and then the third option on the left-hand side is look and feel. Select that. And then you'll see that the theme that we have is the American University theme that comes preloaded with American University accounts, but there's also different themes for each school. There's one for CTRL that you can change to change the look of your survey. Um, you can also make it blank. Um, there's again one for each school. And then there's like other options about how to make your layout and just different general styling settings for colors and font, etc. Background colors. So I'm going to change it to, I'm going to keep it with CTRL and then just hit apply. And don't forget when you are, go back to the survey tab. Once you've already published your survey, I'm going to publish it now just so you can see. That means it's available to take responses. Once you have published it, if you make any changes at all to any questions or any style options or anything, you will have to, so for instance, let's make a change. All right. You will have to republish and just hit it again, just to make sure that the changes are saved in your survey and go live. Make sure that you always publish the changes after you've made any changes at all. All right, so next we are going to go over to download data. We would go to the data and analysis tab. But before we do that, we're gonna get some test data so that we can look at how to download and analyze our data. So if we go to the survey tab here at the right-hand corner and we go to tools, we are going to select generate test responses. And I'm just going to do 15. And they're just going to be randomly generated test responses. So start test. And start test again. Okay. I'm going to hit close. This is just to see if all of our skip logic and everything is working. So if we go to, well, first let's go to reports and I can show you the different visuals that can be created. So this should have a bunch of charts that you can make with Qualtrics, and you can change around different options. For instance, this one has the agree, disagree as the uh, variable axis. So to change that, we could go to transpose right here. And then that would change the disagree options to the legend instead. And then the statements would actually be the the variables on the axis. And then there's just other options here. There's color palettes. You can change the type of charts here, etc. There's a lot of visualization options that you can go through, depending on what's best for what you're trying to visualize for your questions and your project. Those are all there. And you just have to select the question to get the right-hand panel for the visualization options to pop up. Same thing with the other charts here. Just click on the one you want to visualize. And you can always add a visualization or add notes to each one. And then when you're finished and everything looks how you'd like it to, you can share the report here and you can export it to a PDF or a Word document, PowerPoint, slides even. You can export all through here. And it looks like we only got 3 responses from our test data. So let me go back and make sure we selected the test responses. Maybe it just hadn't had time to load. Okay, I'll close that now and go back to data and analysis. Aha, and now it's actually 33 responses. So we were, since we hit it multiple times, it actually recorded it multiple times, which is fine, especially since some of them are, I do not consent to participate, as randomly selected. So that all works out. You can see the preview of responses here when you have your data. And then under reports, the charts should be more filled out now. As you can see, we have more things answered. The mean age is 54, standard deviation of 35, a variance of 1,429. So there we go. We have more responses to test out. All right, now if we go to data and analysis, I'm going to show you how to export the data. So once all your responses are collected and you want to export your data, you would just select export and import here. And it will have a dialog box pop up, and you can choose how you would want the data downloaded. If you want it as a CSV file, Excel, SPSS, XML, etc. There's a bunch of other files. So SPSS, it will allow you to have the file both numeric values and choice text values. So the CSV, you have to choose one or the other, which means the numeric values are the coded values that are associated with like strongly agree versus strongly disagree, whereas the choice text is the actual words. So with the numeric value, if they selected strongly disagree, you would get the numerical value associated with that, which in our test question was 1, whereas strongly agree, the value associated with that was 5. So the CSV only allows you to select one of those, whereas the SPSS will do all of that. So you would just select whichever one makes most sense for you and your project and which software you're using, and then just hit download. You can also look at more options and see if you want any of the other download options here, and just select the ones you like, and then just hit download and it'll download the file, and you can open it up in whichever software, statistical software or anything else that you are using. I'm going to hit close. And then lastly, we're going to just quickly go over how to delete our fake responses that we use to test out the data. So if you go back to tools here on the right-hand side, you can look at delete data, and then you can delete survey test right here. There's also delete survey previews. That's when we tested out our survey in the preview tab, and we answered questions to make sure all the questions were working. I am sure I want to delete all 3 survey previews. Can delete that. And I'm just going to hide it while it's deleting. It might take a little bit to go through that data. And then I'm going to hit tools again and delete data and delete survey test. And I am sure I want to delete all survey test, and then you can delete it. And I'm just going to hide it, since it'll take a while to go through. And you can see 2 requests are pending. And if for any reason you want to stop, you can do that. You can look at the progress here. So that concludes the end of this tutorial. I hope it was helpful in getting a brief introduction on how to use Qualtrics and how it can help you make surveys and customize different options and different questions, and then also to analyze your data and distribute your survey to different populations. Thank you.